G'day everyone! So the video that you're about to watch is a video of the panel that I gave at Holiday Matsuri in 2022. It is about eco cosplay, which is a subject that I'm super passionate about. However, it was just filmed on my little handheld camera, so there are some issues with the sound and a few times the issue with the image. But I hope that you enjoy it. Please be aware that there are some sections that do skip because sometimes the camera died and then it just kind of ends somewhat abruptly because I think the battery died. Anyway, enjoy! I am from the land down under, that's why I've got this accent. If like I get way too Australian or I say something that I tend to fall into slang, please just go, what do you mean? My husband over here will also totally keep me accountable for that. So yes, but don't be afraid to ask questions. And yeah, all right. Eco cosplay. Now this is, I'm not a very serious person. You may have picked that up, but like this is a serious topic. So I may put a light spin on it, but it is something I'm actually very passionate about. All right. So eco cosplay, sustainable cosplaying. So the very first thing that I want to discuss is what is fast fashion. So very simply put, fast fashion is something that is quickly and cheaply made, which means that it's quickly bought, worn and discarded. It's a very quick life cycle, at least from a consumer point of view. So what we're talking about, you know, the issue with that is that people don't have an appreciation as they once did for clothing. Yeah? I like that you're like, yes. Can I just have a raised hand here? Who either makes their own cosplay or buys, or makes their own cosplay or makes their own clothing? Please raise your hand. Lovely. I love that that's the majority of you guys. Because that's, and I think that that's why we're all here, is because we know how much work goes into making a garment, right? And so when I don't know about you guys, but when I go shopping and I will go and I'll see a pair of jeans and I'll be like, ooh, $8. You know, people are like, ooh, what a bargain. And I'm like, ooh, which child died to make this? Like it's sorry, that's a term. Aussie humor, I'm sorry. But like I question the ethics of that. But no shame to people who buy $8 pants. All right, so we're going to start with a little bit of a game. And for the ones who get closest or the winners, you will have an Australian treat of a Tim Tam. All right? Yes, all the way from Australia. Who's had a Tim Tam before? Yes? Are they the best?
They are the best candy.
There you go. So you're like, I'm going to win me a Tim Tam. All right, so first question. How much fabric clothing ends up in landfill in the USA per year? I did some research. This was Australian, and I found out what the US one. So by the ton, who wants to give me an answer? We'll see who's the closest. Go on.
I want to say 100 million.
100 million?
I have a question.
Yep.
How much is a ton? Just like a ton? Like 2,000 pounds, I think. 2,000 pounds. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I didn't do that conversion. A ton is 1,000 kilos. So yeah, about sorry, it's about 2,500 pounds.
Okay.
2,500 pounds, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Maths. On a Saturday night at an anime convention. All right, so we've got 100 million pounds here. What else have we got?
2 billion.
2 billion.
I believe it, yeah.
100 billion.
100 billion.
I really hope not.
250 million.
All right, remember those numbers? Yep.
I'll go with 50 million.
50 million, okay. Let's have a look. It's 11.3 million tons. So, what was yours again?
100 million. I think you were closer.
You were closer. So I like how you guys were like, we trust no one. That's good, trust no one. Have a Tim Tam on here.
Thank you.
And then eat it and just tell the class how amazing it is.
Oh wow.
Now you've got incentive. All right. So, next question. How long does it take for polyester to break down? Who wants to give a go? I'll start over there.
200
200 years?
I'm gonna go with 1,000 years.
1,000 years? Yep.
I was gonna say 1,000, so I guess I'll go 1,100.
Okay, yep.
2,000.
2,000? Yep. 700 years?
I want to say 300 maybe.
300? Okay. Really good guesses. The first one was correct.
That makes sense.
Alright, 200 years. But polyester was created in 1941, which means that every single piece of polyester that has ever been produced is still on this earth. Alright, let that sink in. There you are, have 210. Alright. So that's, that kind of puts things, yeah, it's good, it's good. Alright. That kind of puts things into perspective, right? Polyester is probably the most common fabric that is used in fast fashion and especially in cosplay that is made in a fast fashion setting. Alright, who here has bought a cosplay, like online? It's okay, raise your hand. I've done as well. How much do you sweat in those things? Like it is like Satan's armpit wearing those things because it's polyester and polyester does not breathe. Alright. Yearly, what percentage of the global carbon emissions is attributed to the fast fashion industry? What do you reckon? Yep.
35%.
35%?
Go 25.
I was gonna say the
25?
same thing, yeah.
20.
What?
2010.
2010? Yep, up there? Yeah? 15 or 50?
15.
15, yep. 23. 23, oh, very specific. I'm going for a 10-10.
It's 40 on the.
40, okay. Up there?
I was gonna say 42.
42, like 40, 43?
I like that. This is crazy, right?
45?
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
48.
48?
32.
32. All right, I love how everyone's like, I want 10-10. But we had the answer, 10%. So, good work. So, I mean, you think about it, right? Fast fashion, one industry, though, accounts for 10% of the global carbon emissions. We're talking, air travel, sea travel, oil rigs, car fumes, everything like this. 10% of all carbon emissions is from one industry, which is making clothing. All right, last question. All right, on average, how much in weight does the average American throw away in clothes per year? And I've done this in kilos and pounds because I was prepared. Who wants to give it a go? If you want to do it in pounds, that would be great. Get on, you up first.
20 pounds.
20 pounds, okay, what else? Yep.
15.
15. Yep.
10.
Yep.
8.
28.
8. 8. Straight up.
8, okay.
I'm gonna say 50 pounds.
50 pounds. Yep. 9.
14.
15.
No.
Yep.
30.
30. All right, no one got this one.
Damn.
87 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
That's a
I know, right?
Maybe you guys do
I mean, it's a husky.
That's a whole child. Like,
Where is it 15?
Average person. Just
It was yours?
Yeah.
lovely.
I'm lucky.
Maybe you guys throw that in.
I had everything.
Yeah.
How much, you're taking everyone, right? So, really,
Yes.
famous people and,
Famous
that's
people, so people who, will work as influencers, who will buy sheet haul, and then do a, video about it and then throw away clothing. Because I can't get that content! Sorry, I get very annoyed.
No, I feel that. I'm the same way.
Yeah, I'm like, I was actually following someone on YouTube, loved their work, and then they did a Shein haul and they were like, yeah, I bought like $200 worth of Shein and I've got all this clothing, but I don't really like any of it, so I'm gonna get rid of it. And I'm just like, unfollow, but not before I'd be like, why don't you do an ethically sourced video? Unsubscribe. Yes.
Yeah, there was one that I casually followed. She decided to go through her entire closet and she had 3 piles. Keep, donate, and trash. And the ones that were trash were the ones that were damaged. And it's like, seriously, there's fabric recycling bins.
No,
Yeah,
really.
no, that gets Tim Tam itself. There you go. Yeah. I don't think so.
I thought it was cookie.
There you
Cookie
go.
and tea.
Cookie and tea. Sorry. All right. Thank you very much. Don't worry, there's still more Tim Tams, so you know, fight over them. Okay. I also have Fantels up here as well. So these are chewy caramels with chocolate coatings. They're a little Aussie sweet as well. I want you all at least to take one. All right. So, all right. Let's get into the main event, shall we? So here are some of the facts. Okay, and I will say that this was originally designed for an Australian presentation. So I've tried to put in some American facts. A lot of them are global facts. But yeah, so globally, there's 80 billion new pieces of clothing per year that is created. Now, there is a lot of different percentages that are here. So by some records, 2/3 of the fibers are fabric-based. 60% are saying that they are polyester. I believe that it's actually quite a lot of them are mixed. Now, you may be thinking, well, cotton, that's not as bad as polyester, right? Well, the problem is that cotton, when it's grown, well, cotton for fast fashion is not ethically sourced, and whilst growing, it's sprayed heavily with pesticides, basically killing everything in the environment around it. Polyesters are obviously a massive contributor to carbon emissions, and talking about dyeing fabrics, they will just completely destroy the ecosystem and the water facilities around it. So fast fashion also accounts for 20% of wastewater globally. Okay, there's a lot of water that is used whilst creating fabric. It's responsible for twice the amount of carbon emissions than air and sea travel combined. So you know when you're buying that plane ticket, it's like, hey, you want to pay us extra money to offset your carbon footprint? Not even worth it. Like, compared to what it is. Production has been ramping up more and more since the 1990s. So prior to 1990, polyester was being used, but it was still not like in a fast fashion kind of situation. But then once the 90s hit, suddenly it was like, oh, well, we can go over to China and Bangladesh and India and pay low wages, and because now the travel's so good, we can get the items here quite quickly. And so fast fashion has been ramping up. After oil, it is the second most polluting industry in the world. Now also, I always found this one very interesting. On average, people only wear a garment 7 times. Okay, now, maybe not us lot, okay? But you think about what's in your wardrobe, right? I know what's in my wardrobe. I have got my work pants that I will wear until those things fall off my body, okay? But I also have my wedding dress. I also have special dresses that I bought that I've worn maybe once, maybe twice. And if you think about cosplay, let's be honest with ourselves, how often do we re-wear every single one of our cosplays? I think that a lot of cosplayers go, like, we make a cosplay from scratch, and we see a costume and we're like, ooh, let's do it, okay? But like, I know that there's cosplays that I've made that I've only worn once. Because they're big and they're bulky. They're impressive, and I made them for a cosplay, but like, that's it, yeah? Cool. In terms of the fast fashion impact, so there's 40 million people working in the garment industry, okay, and most of those are within Asia and like Eastern Asia. 5,000 factories in Bangladesh producing for Western brands. The average, 85% of them are women who work in that industry. $3 a day is the lowest paid garment workers in the world. So, and that's US $3 a day. And 1 in 6 people work in the global fashion industry. It is the most labor-dependent industry on this earth. And why?
because the nations that have money want that quick satisfaction. They want to order something, they want to put it on, they want to feel good, they want to get what's trendy. And so, they buy fast fashion. Alright, let's talk about fast fashion as it relates to cosplay, because that's what we're here for, okay? So, buying cheap cosplays online. So these are generally made in China or neighbouring countries. Also a case is what happens is that China will sell the product, but they'll get places like Taiwan or Bangladesh to make it. Most fabrics are polyester, acrylic or nylon, which take 2 to 4 times more energy to produce than natural fibres. Right, that's quite specific to cosplay. When you talk about like cottons and your viscose and that sort of thing, those are low, and linen, they are very, very low energy requirements. But as soon as you go into any kind of, essentially plastic, let's not beat around the bush, it's plastic. Whenever you're talking about plastic and creating that into a garment, it's going to take a lot more energy. Polyester fabrics have microplastics that separate from the fabrics of each wash that goes into the waterway. I don't know if you have guys heard of this, but it's absolutely true. With polyester, because it's plastic is brittle, plastic breaks. And what happens with microfibers is that as you wash my polyester, little bits of it will come off and go into waterways. They've found that in areas of like Bangladesh especially, where the garment industry is producing so many of these polyester fabrics, if the waterway is not completely destroyed by the dyes that they're pouring into the waterways, the fish that they're finding in there are not able to be consumed by humans anymore because they have too much plastic in their system. It's like, when you think about that, you cut open a fish and throughout their muscles is just little tiny bits of plastic. So, transport of goods equal carbon emissions. You guys are in the USA. It is a long way from China. It doesn't matter how we wrap it up, in whatever bow you want to put it in, it has, certainly got carbon emissions associated with it. And I like to add this text, okay? I like to think, if I was going to make this, how much would it cost for the materials, and how long would it take me to make? Alright? Times that by, what is a livable wage? Alright? So take how much do the fabrics cost for me to make this thing? How long will it take me to make the thing? And then this hourly, I need to give myself a living wage, right? What's the minimum wage in America? I actually don't know. What was it?
I think it's $15 now.
Okay, number one, that is disgusting. Sorry. Okay, so I'm gonna say that in Australia, where we don't have things like tipping and like waitresses and waiters and everything like that just get paid a livable wage. So I still don't understand tipping, y'all. I don't understand. I'll get there. But it's about, I think it's about $16 Australian, which roughly translates being about $13 US. Okay, is like the minimum wage, and we're talking about a 14-year-old, 15-year-old working at McDonald's. Okay, that's like their starting wage. Okay, so you do that calculation. If the item appears to be a great deal by that standard, way, that's fast fashion, y'all, you know. So, maybe reconsider that purchase. Okay. Cosplay at its core is not an eco-friendly and sustainable hobby. Do you guys agree with this? Yeah? Yeah. It is a very wasteful hobby. It's not the worst, guys. We're not the worst. But I think that we also need to acknowledge that no matter which way we go with this, whether we buy our cosplays online or whether we make it our own, it is not necessarily a eco-friendly or sustainable hobby. But what can we do about that? All right, now be prepared for all the slideshows of my face. All right, so the first thing is obviously be mindful, okay? So if you buy a cosplay online, and seriously no hate to people who buy their cosplays online, they may not have the time. They may not necessarily have the skills to be able to do it. I know that for me, I'm not going to toot my own horn here, but like I am skilled at this, all right? But there are times that there's a convention coming up, I'm making cosplay, and I go, I need a very specific other thing. I do not have the time to be able to dedicate to this because I'm finishing off another project usually. So I have bought cosplays online. Here we are. That's me in my wonderful outfit for My Hero Academia. And here we are, my husband and I, in our My Hero Academia cosplays. And the other thing is sometimes I find like things like school uniforms, for example, I kind of like them when they're bought online because the fact that they have that school uniform vibe. So, like, it's also an aesthetic thing. But when you buy a cosplay online, make the commitment to wear it at least 4 times. You know, don't just wear it once, which is something that we do in cosplay, or at least a whole lot of us do. We make a cosplay, we wear it once, and then it sits in our closet until it gathers dust, and then, you know, and then we do whatever with it. Also, consider commissioning your cosplay for a better quality cosplay, which is a better fit and better fabrics at a higher price. You know, you're giving work to someone, you know, who could be local, which means that you'll be able to get actual fitting done to you, and you're going to be paying them a ethical living wage. If you're making cosplays, mix up large projects with smaller projects so you don't become burnt out, okay? Who has ever experienced cosplay burnout? Yeah? You're like, yeah, I feel you so hot right now. I do everything. No problem. Sorry, you just didn't see her face yet. I was like, get yourself chocolate, my dog. All right. So, you know, if you are struggling with burnout, it's really important to stop. It's really important that you just stop. You know, you don't just keep on tackling those Sakuzu dresses or like Iron Man build or anything like this. You just stop and you go, okay, what's a nice, easy cosplay that I can whack out in like a couple of weeks, if that, and just stand in front of the mirror and be like, oh, thank you. You know, just, yeah, mix it up. Okay, then we have trade, swap, repurpose, sell, give away all cosplays. Do not throw your cosplays away, okay? Give them a second life. Allow someone else to enjoy being the character they love without them making them or buying the cosplay brand new. So I know that when I have done cosplay clear out of my wardrobe, which I really need to do again, but I get very sentimental, I will give away my older cosplays. I don't generally even sell them unless, you know, they're a higher quality, and I just go, I'm just not going to wear that again. So like, this is my very first cosplay, all right? Well, first cosplay that I knew I was cosplaying, let's just put it that way, all right? There was another time, but I just thought I was dressing up. And going to a convention, anyway. So I made this cosplay. It's a TARDIS. And then a few years later, I basically took off certain aspects of it and then redid the entire outfit with a similar silhouette, but just leveled up. Next, have a stash. Then use the stash. All right, this is a very old and hence neat pile of my stash. My stash does not currently look like that. It kind of looks like someone threw a grenade and then ran
Basically, if you've just finished a project, don't throw away any of your decently sized scraps. You never know when you need a small piece of foam for a rivet, or a small detail piece, or half a metre of fabric for some trim, or those extra beads that might look good in a future project, okay? Who has ever finished a cosplay and saved the scraps and then reused it in another cosplay in the future? Yeah? Beautiful. Love it. Love you all. I love you all. It's really, really important, and it also is fun because, like, you get to a point and you're like, I need this fabric for this section for a detail piece. Wait a second, and you go, yes, I can use it, and it's great. Warbler scraps, remember, can be heated and then molded together to create something interesting. Use wigs for multiple different cosplays, and do swap stashes with friends. So I know that I've got a group of friends, of 3 friends of mine, and we're all like seamstresses based cosplayers, and we literally, before we start a project, we'll show the costume to each other and be like, hey, I'm looking for like this yellow, or I'm looking for like this green. And we will all go to our stashes and like go, what about this? What about this? What about this? And we'll just, palm off fabrics to each other. I will say that I have found that I am the one mostly giving out fabrics because I am basically a dragon when it comes to fabric. And I just seem to keep on building up my stash, much to my husband's dismay. He's like nodding sadly over here. Okay, but only buy that which you need, but keep an eye out on places like Facebook Marketplace, or is it Craigslist here? Is that a thing? Yeah.
People still use it.
I'm like, it's not a thing in Australia. Yeah.
I just want to say that even with scraps that aren't decently sized, you can save them for like practicing on sewing machines if you don't have any.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. If you like, or if there's a tension issue or something like that. And also, it's called cabbage. There's also cabbage, which is like the offcuts. You can certainly even save that and use that as stuffing.
Yeah.
So that's always good as well.
And
Very clever.
And I will say that with my mock-ups, I'd say the mock-ups, even though I don't need them anymore, especially when it's like a really uniquely designed bodice that I'm probably never going to need to remake in the future, I'll use those as rags while cleaning my house. So I do that as well, yeah.
Okay, we've done this with previous pets, but we can't do it with our current dog because he's a chewing terror. But we turn them into like scrap balls for chewing.
Ah, that's awesome. I love that. Yes.
My mom, she cleans houses for a living, and she'll take her old clothes and she cuts them into rags and she uses them when she cleans.
Fabulous. Yeah, exactly right. And there's no reason why your scraps from your cosplays can't be the same. It is fabric at the end of the day, isn't it? Whether it's an old t-shirt or whether it is like an offcut from like a skirt. Anyway, great deals. You can find great deals in this situation, and you will also be saving the fabric from going to landfill. Okay, so I'm not that type of person who will go out and go fabric shopping and buy fabric and just be like, oh, that's pretty, I'll use it one day. I will generally go out with a set purpose, but I do find that pretty fabric does find its way to me in like ways of people clearing out their stashes, and those are the ones that I hold on to, and I will always look at my stash before I go and buy anything. All right. If you buy your cosplays, learn how to make your own. Now, I don't think that's necessarily anyone in this room, but if you want to be, you have friends who are like, I bought my cosplays. Now you can be all like, well, maybe you should learn. The reason being is that when you make them, you can make them like well. You can make them really, really sturdy, and so that way they can be worn multiple times. Okay, I find that with bought cosplays, calm down. Bought cosplays are generally sewn with like what we would call an overlock stitch. What do you guys call it? Serger, right?
Yeah.
It's like just a serger, which I'm like, that is a finishing stitch. It's not a real stitch. Please stop. Pardon?
It's good for taking it apart so you can custom fit it.
It's true, but like, so, you know, it's more important to make it, you know, obviously fit your body, but also make it sturdy. Little one-time use, and will also give you an appreciation for those who create cosplays and clothing as professionals. I think as soon as you know how to make something and you spend time making it, you get a greater appreciation. For example, okay, sorry sweetie, I am so going to embarrass you right now. He's like, why did I come to America with her? So what happened was that, I love you, please don't leave me in Florida. What happened was that my husband didn't know how to sew, okay? And he had been saying like, I want to learn how to sew. He's still telling me that he doesn't know how to sew and he wants me to teach him. I will, it's all good, I'll get there. But one of the things I said, okay, let's make some boxer shorts. You know, that's a nice easy project to start off with. So we went and we bought fabric, and you know, that was $20 odd on special. You know, a nice cotton, good print, some sharks. And then, you know, I pulled out the pattern piece and I was like, right, 4 pieces, cut them out. So he then pinned them all and then cut out one lot, and I'm like, great, do the other one. And he was like, this is taking forever. And I'm like, yeah, well, you got to get the pieces out so that way we can sew it together. And then, you know, he cut it all out, and then he had to pin the pieces together, and then he had to sew it, and then he had to flip it around, and he had to do, you know, you had to like figure out how to put the leg into the other leg so you could do like the center seam, and then to like do the hems, and then do the top, and then put elastic through, and then finish off the top. And he was like, this is taking forever. And then he put them on, he was like, oh, they're really cute. You know, well, he didn't say that, that's me interpreting. He was like, oh yeah, they're cool. And you know, and he wore those things to death. He wore them until they fell off his body. I was like, sweetie, we have to stop this. This is, you can't, you know, even I'm offended. But he, like, but the thing is that gave him a greater appreciation for clothing by making a pair of boxer shorts. That took him a day, okay. It's all right, we'll get it down to a few hours, sweetie. But since then, when we go out fabric shopping, it's not finding the greatest deal. We will go and support local artists who will create their own t-shirts and dresses and that sort of thing, where they've designed it themselves and then sewn it themselves. We've got a very good mate called Georgina who runs a company called Curious Empire, who specialise in geek culture clothing. So if you've ever heard of like black milk, I don't know if that's a thing here, yeah? Better quality than black milk, and like just really cute like Pokemon dresses and like everything like this. We love it. Terry always wears the shirts, and he's had lots of compliments from wearing it. Yes, Thursday I think it was. He wore it around the peninsula like, ooh, love your shirt. I'm like, yeah, Curious Empire. But her shirts start at $40 Australian. Her dresses start at $65 Australian. So that would be, I'd say about $32 for a shirt, American, $30 American. And for a dress, probably about $55. I don't have an issue spending that money because of the work that I know that this person has put into it. Okay, op shop cosplays. Who's ever made a cosplay or like collected things from an op shop to like wear as like a cosplay, altered something from a cosplay from an op shop, or has got a quilt or sheets or anything like that? I made a cosplay out of it. Raise your hand. Yeah, you my people. All right. So these two cosplays. Okay, this was a quilt, and this was a quilt and a curtain. Okay, this one cost me a total of $18 Australian, so about $15 US. And this one that was $2 Australian. So about $1.50 US. So I made that entire cosplay for that amount of money. I also saved a very gaudy, quilt from going to landfill because it was like clearance. And you know that when it's in an op shop clearance bin, the next place is landfill. So basically, in op shops you can have clothing, you can see what can be altered. You know, maybe it's a closet cosplay even. This is great for beginners, right? And it's cheap. Also props. Have a look in the homeware section. Baskets, bags, trinkets. I made a Mad Hatter cosplay once, and I went and just bought really interesting teacups, stacked them together, you know, with some like heavy setting porcelain glue, and that was my prop. And I did it so that the cups were all stacked wonkily, and I put a strap around my hand, and I was like just walking around. Every so often I'd accidentally trip. Ah! And you like, as soon as I made that noise, people would turn around and see this wonky array of cups, you know, falling, and be like, ah! And I'm like, psyche. I was a little brimble. It was so much fun. I'm a terrible human being. And also fabric. So sometimes there is fabric there. I don't know what it's like in the US. Sometimes in Australian op shops, thrift stores. Sorry, I keep calling them op shops. I'm sorry, guys. Like, tell me. So we op shops for opportunity stores, and of course, being Australian, we just shorten everything. So thrift shops. I can't believe I went through this entire slide for that. There's fabric there, but there's also bedding and curtains. So, and that you can have some really, really interesting fabrics, especially with bedding. Like, because people have those really fancy, like, we call them quilt covers, like doona covers. Is that the right word for you guys? Duvet. Duvet, there we are. Cycling through all the words for the one time. You know, and like the real fancy, like, welcome!
Thank you.
Welcome! That you can alter, and you can make some really fancy looking costumes. Like, so this one is my 1850s inspired Cinderella that I made for a Christmas party at my work, because they were like, we're going to do op shop theme. You have to buy an outfit from the op shop. And I was like, you didn't specify that I couldn't alter it. So that's why I got the curtain, and I got the duvet cover and made that. All right. Buy local and buy in bulk. Okay. So buy things you use a lot in bulk. So things like, if you're a seamstress, things like hook and eyes, press studs or snaps. That's what you guys call it. Oh, this is hard. Also, thread. You know, if you use a lot, like white, black, I don't know about you guys, but like I buy a lot of that because I find like that's a good base for a lot. If you are a person who works with foam and that sort of thing, buy foam in bulk. Get in with your friends, right? If you have like, friends who are also into cosplay and you guys, use similar things, get together, buy together. Save some shipping. It also means that there is less carbon emissions. I am giving a panel, mate!
Smack on the wall a few times.
Yeah. And there is, it saves some shipping costs and carbon emissions. Buy things that are not specific to a single cosplay. So foam glue, boning, thread, closures, warmer, that sort of thing, okay? Boning is a really good one. So, you're like, yeah.
I just did it for me.
Yeah, so, what is going on? Seriously. So boning, like synthetic whale boning, metal boning, spiral steel boning, buy that in bulk. Get your friends on it as well, like, because, if you are going to make any sort of like hoop skirt or bodice or something like that needs structure, you cannot get away with like Rigiline. I'm sorry, I hate Rigiline. It's like my pet peeve. I'm like, I dislike you're like, why are you looking at me like that? Do you love it?
I don't know what that is.
Oh,
Plasticky.
It's-
It's got like lines of cording.
yeah, it's, yeah.
Yeah, I worked at a barber shop, they call that horsehair bone.
Oh.
How dare they? How dare they? Because that is close to horsehair braid, and that's another thing you should buy in bulk because that's amazing. How dare they? Yeah. I've never heard it being called that before.
What did you say it was called though?
Pardon?
Ridgeline?
Ridgeline, yes.
Ridgeline.
Yeah.
Can you spell it?
Rich? Aline! I'm terrible at spelling, guys. But yes, moving on. But buy locally if you can because they then buy in bulk, okay? Alright. Finish the UFOs! Okay? Unfinished outfits. UFO.
Oh.
Continue. So finish the cosplays that you've started. You know, they will be sitting in the corner judging you. You're like, I feel judged. Or if all the passion is 100% gone, deconstruct and add it to the stash. Okay? Really important that you do that. You don't just leave it half finished because you will get so frustrated at it that you will just yeet it. Okay? This is a cosplay that I started making. It was King Candy by Sunset Dragon. I am wearing the Sunset Dragon design now. And funnily enough, I never finished this one. I lost all passion for it once I made the skirt. It's a really cute design. I just was like, I'm not feeling this anymore. And I tried, I left it there for about a month. And I was like, no, can't do it. And so I unpicked it all. And this fabric here is, I've used it for a number of things, but it is actually the gold that is in this cosplay here. So I used the fabric from one Sunset Dragon design into another. Because it was the right color, it was the right style, and I had all this fabric that I could use. So in short, fast fashion is present in cosplay. That is not going to stay. That's not going to change. Okay. Also, it is not it's not by nature a sustainable or eco-friendly cosplay hobby. We have to accept that. Okay. But be mindful and do what you can to make it more sustainable. All right. Any questions? Because that is the end of our presentation tonight. Yes.
So I know that we can take steps into making it more eco-friendly with the clothing, but what about accessories like wigs?
I was wondering that same thing actually.
Yeah, I'm about to ask about weddings here next.
You get attention! All right. So, enjoy. So that's a really good question, and it is very, very important with wigs when you're buying them. And this also comes down to which characters you decide that you want to do, right? Because with wigs, they should be something that you should be able to use for multiple characters. Or if it is a character-specific wig, that you are able to do multiple designs of that character. Like a Sakura wig, you know, that's very specific. Long bang, short and back, too little at the top, okay? But she's got lots of different cosplays that you can do. Also, you know, I have got this one blonde wig at home that I have literally used for Cinderella, Effie Trinket, and I think another one somewhere in there, and I've just forgotten the name. But like, yeah, you use the wigs. Look for wigs that you can style into different updos. And be mindful of that when you're cutting into a wig. Like, especially if it's not, see, this is how I justify it, okay? If it's a big build and you have spent hours working on it and you need a wig that is like perfect, invest, do it, okay? Because, you know, you want your cosplay to look good, right? Especially if you're going to wear that cosplay multiple times, but also if it's for a very important cosplay competition, okay? That's where I'm like, you know what? We're going to invest the money here. We're going to make sure that we style this very specifically. However, for those quick cosplays, the ones that keep us sane, all right, have a look and see if you can find a wig that is versatile, that you may be able to use it. Even if you change the styling of the wig slightly, if you're not entering into a competition, why does it need to be 100%? I'm a competitive cosplayer, right? That is how I justify it. You have to find your own moral standpoint in regards to that one. Good question. There was a question up the back.
It wasn't a question, I was actually going to say, I sometimes put, I buy hair rolls that are different colors. So for example, I'm doing a Demon Slayer one. You know,
Yep.
one's got pink hair and the other has green. It's not this character, but that one I actually would hand sew in pink into the green wig that I already have, and then I just seam rip it out. And
Wow.
That's wonderful.
That is fantastic dedication.
You just buy little pieces and
Yeah.
you're putting in just a couple locks is enough to get you a color for a specific character. If you've already got a wig that's really similar, that's a good way that I throw it in a pinch.
That is a Tim Tam.
You can toss it.
I know. No. If it lands on the floor, I don't want you eating it off this carpet.
Thank you.
No problem.
Sorry, I can't leave.
No, that's great. Who's got another question for us? Yeah.
Okay, so related to the wig thing, I know I haven't done this, but I want to because I make crochet and I have a bunch of acrylic yarn I can use up.
Yep.
You can actually make wigs out of the yarn.
Yes.
You brush out the yarn and it creates moldable wefts and they fold in place.
And they're really good, especially yarn is very good for if you are going to do any kind of character that has a large volume, because yarn by its nature is just full of fibers. So it's really good to style with the points into really big do's, and they look amazing. That takes a while to do. Yes.
This is not quite a question, but sort of a tip I want to pass along. My cousin-in-law is actually a wig maker on Broadway.
Oh wow.
And sometimes she gets hair that's too short or wrong color for her to use. She'll actually turn it into facial hair pieces.
Nice.
So if you have something that's too short or you cut it off a way and you can't quite use it, save it for something like sideburns, facial hair, even dyeing it and turning it into fake hair extensions.
Yeah, beautiful. I know that for myself, I did something similar to that. Not facial hair, but I had, when I did the World Cosplay Summit, I represented Australia at the World Cosplay Summit. Hey, just slide that in there, credentials. Here. Here too. Yeah, it's all good. No, just because yarn's gonna get sore, it's fine. What I cut off from the wig, I sewed it down within a little piece of power mesh. I think that's what you guys call it as well. Stretchy, kind of skin, fleshy tone. Yeah, cool. All right, yeah. I see nodding from some people, so it's what it's called. And basically create a little, I called it my onion because of how it curled out and how it was styled. But it's this little thing that just went pop on the top of my head with a crown around it. So I used wefts from a wig that I cut off rather than buying an extra wig to do this little section. You were next, my dear. What was your question?
It was about making weapons. I've tried making certain weapons out of wood and cardboard, and it can get really falling apart really fast. I mean, I try to glue it all together.
Yep.
I did one really big, bulky weapon. It was a wooden rod, and then the rest of the top of it was cardboard. And it was flimsy. It fell apart literally the first time I used it.
Yep.
But some people are using 3D printers and they're using this biodegradable stuff, and so is there how do you feel, I guess it's a two-part, how do you feel about the so-called eco-friendly 3D printing, and what would you recommend for a kind of eco-friendly weapon, because I know that's really hard.
I'll be really honest with you, I haven't made heaps of weapons.
Okay.
I've made very few weapons. I'm trying to think of a weapon that I've made. Because I'm mostly a seamstress, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what I will say is this. Cardboard is an underrated type of material. One of my dear friends in the Netherlands, the Wasted Coat is his Instagram handle. He makes the most amazing armor and weapon pieces out of cardboard. And they're so clean. And what it comes down to is the type of cardboard that you use you're going to use like packing boxes like that, that isn't going to hold. Okay. There is cardboard that you can use that is denser, that is eco-friendly, but you have to buy it. Okay. And that will be rigid and hold its shape, and you are able to score it. You can use it just like you would foam, essentially. It's just very, very thin. It's very durable.
Okay.
So I don't know exactly what it's called, but like if you were to reach out to him, so the waisted coat, yeah, like as in the wasted coat. It's a play on words. Glad I didn't do the other version of wasted. Okay, he would probably be able to tell you more than I would. His name's Melchior. He's lovely.